Hello, welcome to today's recording. I'm not going to take much of your time. Welcome, my name is Abimbola Bajo. Always other people call me Product Talkative, but yeah, my name is Abimbola Bajo. And since last week I've been talking about APIs, and I know many people struggle with building APIs, managing APIs, testing APIs, especially when it comes to product management. Many people feel like you have to be a technical product manager to interface with APIs, and the truth is, the world is changing. Like I said in my first letter, or let me say my first review, and I explained something that the world is changing, things are changing in the world, and before you know it, your product goes into extension and you don't have a competitive value for your product. So your time to market, your strategy can be delayed if you want to build everything. So many times you just have to use real products that other people that are real players have built. Now, using what real players have built will allow you to be able to approach the market faster than when you're not a real player. And what do I mean by real player? What I mean by real player is we have companies like Remita, companies like Nibs that are real players in the market. They have built APIs to make it easy for you to venture into the market at once. And like I said, in the financial industry, you need licenses for certain things. So their own license has given them permission or ability to be able to build some things flexibly. Now, they build these things with their own license. Your company might not have the license or the ability to do many of these things that they have built. This one of the products that I want to mention is direct debit. Remita has a direct debit product, Nibs has a direct debit product, but Remita and Nibs have worked together to build a lot of products like the maps for bulk payments and like that. So different licenses exist in the financial industry, and maybe one day I might write about them so that people can understand that it depends on the license that your organization has, or your fintech or your company has. When it comes to the financial sector, their license is what can allow you to be able to do certain things. As a switch, you cannot be a bank. That's one of the things that comes with licensing in Nigeria. So if you are a switch, you cannot be a bank. It means that you cannot hold money, but you can provide switching abilities. And same way financial institutions hold money, they cannot be a switch. So all financial institutions use third-party switch. Financial institutions, as big as they can hold money, they cannot be a PTSP, which means that they cannot be a payment terminal service provider. They use payment terminal service providers to perform POS transactions, to be able to configure POS. So, like you heard me say, licensing is a very, very big deal in Nigeria. So this means that if you are working in e-commerce, you're working in savings, you're working in you're not even in fintech, and you want to give certain abilities to your customer, you don't need to wait for the organization to get a fintech license. You don't need to wait for your organization to get a PSSP license or any other license. And I'll be saying things that are very technical, but you have to learn all these things too. As a product manager, you have to be vast when it comes to the country that you're building in, even if it is not within your country. All these things I'm saying is something that is really, really global. So what I'm trying to say is, as an e-commerce company, you can render services to other people without you being a fintech. So for example, a junior can actually tell people to buy airtime, or a junior can actually give people wallets to say, top up your wallet, and from your wallet we can debit. An example of a product that I'll mention for that is Childec. Childec is not a financial institution and it doesn't have a license to run financial activities, but Childec has already provided wallet services for its customers to say, guy, top up here, when you top up, You can buy anything on the platform. Other platforms that have done that is Shutlers, Shutlers, Childbeck, and many other platforms. So I'm just giving you ideas that these people did not build these APIs. They've got these APIs from people that are real players, integrated it into their system, and they've been going into the market so fast. So as a product manager, you have to be able to test these APIs, because what grows the market really is partnership. Right. So one of the products I want to talk about today is Direct. This is one of my favorite products. I worked on this product and it's something that gives me joy. It's a product that gives me a lot of joy, and I worked on it. So many things that I want to say is this is what an API documentation looks like. Some people don't host their API documentation on Postman. Some people put their documentation on Microsoft Word. Some people use Azure. Different platforms with different ways that they do their documentation, right? But this is an example of an API documentation, and you can see it shows from welcoming you to the API to explaining the authentication, explaining the environment URLs that you will need for this API. You can see that it shows that the test environment URL is this and the live environment URL is this. It gives you the overview of the product, what the product is about, the action and the events of the product, the endpoint, the different endpoints. So you can see there are different endpoints like name inquiry, and you will see that it shows what name inquiry is, the description of the API, what the request body is. It also describes the request body, describes the response that you will get from the request body, and it shows an example. So you see a sample request and a sample response, and it goes on and on like that. You are able to see this is the schema for the response. So when I say schema, it shows you what kind of response you're getting. This is a string, this is a string rather, this is an object, yes, this is a string, this is a string, this is an object. So I will also define all these things I'm saying as outside the video. Yes, so this particular if you read my former the last post I dropped today, I explained that authentication can be different things, can be token, can be OOT, anything. So from this document you can see that what the business expects you to authenticate is giving you a secret key, meaning that everybody can use this secret key to integrate. Some organizations don't do that. What they do is when they invite you and they onboard you, they give you a unique secret key for yourself only. So when you are onboarded, they give you a unique secret key, you can use it. But many open documentations like this put test secret key that you can use to run a test. But when you say, oh, I'm showing interest in this thing, then they will tell you, okay, you can onboard, there's a self-service, you can onboard self-service, you copy your own secret key, you run your own test on your own server, you can do your IP whitelisting. Then when you finish your test, you go through a UAT process. This is user acceptance test. There are certain criteria that the organization will look at to ensure that you pass this user acceptance test. Now when this is done, you go live, you do your public key, your live keys, and you start doing transactions. Some organizations give you credentials. They say, okay, you authenticate with credentials. They can give you certain things that will be in credentials, client key, anything, and like that. Everybody uses different things to authenticate, right? So you can see that this documentation is very detailed. It already does a lot of work for you. If you find it difficult to understand many things, this documentation already explains what the product is to you, so you will barely struggle when you want to write acceptance criteria as a PM to the developer that wants to work on this. You already have what each request body is for. You already understand what the player account reference is and the request ID. For example, this one says request ID, identifier for the request, which means that you understand that this will tie your system with this system together, which means that you will be the one passing the request ID, not make giving you. That is why it is in the request body. So many of these things are things that you need to now start understanding as PMs and learning to read many of these documents. No matter the article that I write, you need to be able to understand this in a very, very practical way. So you can see the frequency values and all these things. So it allows you to get so familiar with documentation. Really, you are able to understand that this is a data, this is an array. If you look at this is an array, this is an array, this particular bracket is exactly this bracket, this close bracket, open bracket, close bracket is the symbol that is used to explain an array, and this one here is what you use to understand that when they say this thing is an array, it means that it's an array of different things. So each one of this is a string. This shows that it's a string. This, so there are some particular things that are not strings. For example, this active false is not a string. If you look at the documentation, it said it. Active is a boolean, it's not a string. This is a string, this is a string, this is a boolean. Boolean means that you will not have these semicolons in front of it. It's just going to be plain. This is a boolean, it's not a string. So you get to make developers talk to you and they say, pass it as a string, and you are wondering what's a string. They're just telling you that you should pass it as a double colon. Yeah. And they say, pass it as an array. It means that you have to open this bracket before you pass this and this. And like I said, many of these things are terms that we need to understand, terms that you will meet up with when it comes to personal APIs. So I will also share most key terms that you will meet up with and their meanings and symbols that really identify them, like string, array, all those things, the boolean, like that. So yeah, and this is a base URL. So for this, you can see that the base URL for this API is this. Now, how do I easily identify base URL? So let me break down this URL for you. This is the base URL for the request. This is the version number of the API, v1. I mentioned something in my last write-up when I said API versioning. So it means that the developer is able to know that this person is using the version 1 of this API. We see some APIs that have version 2, version 3, version 4. So this is used for API versioning. And now this will show you the path. So this is the path of this point, which means that this is the base URL, this is the version, and this is the path. If you want to see why I'm saying that, how do I know that this is the base URL? Let me go to another endpoint. See, this is the base URL. You can see mandate status. You can see that it changes across board. Mandate payment issue. This is mandate stop. This is let me check for another one. This is mandate activation OTP request. So this is the path, this is the versioning, and this is the base URL for this course. So now you have this endpoint. What do you want to do? It's your first time, you've not used an API before. First you have to download Postman. By the time you download Postman, and just click on Run Postman. Where you come here now, there's either Postman or Postman for desktop. If you don't have it, just click on Get Happy to download it. I already have a Postman, so just tell me to open Postman, and it will tell me, I have all this collection. Where do I want to import it? And I click, and it imports the collection. Now the collection has been imported, and you can see everything that I have on the documentation is the same thing I have here. You can see getting started was empty. So I have the name inquiry, I have the mandate management, I have the mandate activation, I have the debit operations, and I have the status codes. Yeah, see, the status codes are written. Now you need the status codes when you are giving acceptance criteria to your developers, so that they can really understand what to look out for. You are able to define it that This 063 means expired mandate. Now, how does it work for you as APIs? When you know the status code of certain things, it allows you to be able to integrate it into your system for the kind of response or the kind of actions that you want to take internally. For example, invalid fund source. It means that the account is wrong. You might want to project to the customer that account is wrong or something. Or let's say, for example, this is approved debit instruction